He looks to throw, looking deep downfield. He's got a receiver open. It is complete. That is Stevens for a touchdown.
The Bulldog Radio Network proudly presents the Coach Gray Show on 102.7 FM, Kearney's hometown radio station. And now, here are the hosts of the show, Mike Davis, Jim Dickerson, and Coach Josh Gray.
And welcome to the Coach Gray Show. I'm your host, Mike Davis, along with Jim Dickerson and producer-engineer Brian Watts, and we have the coach in studio with us today. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thank you much. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It is afternoon, isn't it? Goodness, you threw me off there. I was
5
ready.
minutes.
Well, I got so excited talking about the 42-14 conference victory, which was really important by the Bulldogs last week as they handed Winnetonka their first loss of the season. Well done, fellas. And look, that was a game. We talked about it just a minute ago. I can't mention everybody's name on the team, but they deserve to be mentioned. That was a team victory.
It was. I think we really had, in preparation for the game, kind of getting refocused, if you will, and going into it, it was everybody was hitting on all cylinders and really showed. I think obviously on Friday night came out and took care of business and it was a total team victory for sure. And in fact, it's funny you say that. We talked about that, talking about the scout guys and everybody in preparation. I mean, and it takes that. And, it's always good to recognize and make sure everybody understands that it was a total team effort and team victory. And that's what it's going to take for us to continue, as we can continue to grow as a team this year.
Yeah, Jim, you and I talked about it during the broadcast last week. And you mentioned to me, you said that this team doesn't look anything like.
No, one of the things I thought was, I said, this is a completely different team than what we've seen. Right. I mean, even, the first week, it was like everybody came out, everybody was clicking, and everything was hitting on all cylinders. And it, even, and we'll talk a little bit more about it later, but when Laughlin was running, it wasn't just Laughlin. You could see everybody on the O-line was where they were supposed to be, and he had some enormous holes.
Yeah.
So,
O-line did a great job.
Yeah, everybody stepped up on that one.
Let's go to that sound, Brian.
Toss back to Laughlin. Laughlin to the near side, has running room down the near hash and into the end zone for a touchdown. 15-yard touchdown run for Garrett Laughlin.
Laughlin is showing some kind of speed on that outside. I mean, he has been able to just turn the corner on the edge and get upfield. He tiptoed along the sideline in those last 3 yards and took it right into the end zone. Really completely untouched. He is showing some kind of speed tonight.
Once again, that...
Yeah, absolutely some kind of speed, Coach. Laughlin had 247 yards. It was clearly a breakout night. And, the guy just seems to get faster.
He does, and that's a testament to his work ethic. And I know we've talked about that before, but, he trains pretty hard and he kind of gets stronger and gets a feel for it and gets a rhythm and you get into a rhythm like that. And he's able to obviously showcase what he's able to do. And, testament to the O-line and even the receivers blocking downfield. And
we're going to get to them.
Yeah,
we're going to get to those guys. And in fact, good that you mentioned it because I picked up an article from the Courier, and they had evidently gotten to him before we did, but he said we didn't get a chance to talk to him, but the Courier did. And this quote, I mean, I got to read this because to me it just says it all. Garrett Laughlin says, "We just ran it up the gut and established the running game before anything else. I have to give credit where credit is due. My offensive line just created wide open holes." And that's exactly what we talked about all night long.
Yeah, and listening to him talk like that when he gets interviewed and
yes.
and a lot of our guys, they understand, the team and they understand what it means to be a part of the team
right.
and what it takes for, an individual. Obviously, the running back, the quarterback,
yes.
the wide receivers get a lot of the credit, and but it's the big naughties down inside that really allow you to, for them to be successful, whether they're opening up holes or giving protection to Ian as a quarterback or whatever that is, and that's good that they recognize that because those guys do work their tail off down inside there, and they take a lot of pride in themselves and and as a group, as a unit, as a whole, they really take pride in that.
Did it seem to click with them how so everybody looked better individually because the team was playing better cohesively as a group?
Right.
Did it seem to kind of click with them? This is the way it should be, and this is awesome.
And that was, sometimes things that, like you look back to the beginning of this season, and then game 1, and you look at game 2 and game 3 and where we were at, and all of a sudden they kind of realize what it is that we need to do. I don't know if the multiple, after however many times as a coach you tell them, kind of what we're needing to do, but finally, they kind of really buckled down. It was really an eye opener, to be honest with you. I think for them back to practice and that last week and going into the game, and what it is that we really want. And I know we talked a little bit about it, last week, but what do they want from the season? Obviously, the season's far from being over.
Oh yeah,
and there's a lot left to do, and we're taking a step in the right direction, but kind of refocusing themselves. And man, this is not what we are. This is not what we're capable of. And everybody did a nice job of gelling, and we're taking steps in the right direction. And that's the important thing, as each week that we show improvement. And I think we had a little setback, I think, and we kind of refocused and regrouped. And now it's going to be on to making sure we're consistent in what we're doing, and consistent in our practices, and consistent when we go out to play on a Friday night.
Right. I was going to say, because I know you're absolutely right. Mike and I were looking at each other right out of the gate. We were like, "What happened?" This is a total reverse of what it was, and we talked about it a lot before. But like when Laughlin ran, it wasn't like he was having to do it all himself, and you could just see the whole line moving the way they were supposed to.
Yes.
It was fun to watch from where we were.
I want to continue on this theme with the offensive line because I've got let me talk about Ian Acosta, and then we want to go to a sound bite after that, Brian. But Ian Acosta, your quarterback, was 9 of 14 for 122 yards, and he had 2 rushing touchdowns. Now, what does that tell you?
Yeah.
I mean, the quarterback's getting in on the
he can scoot around pretty well,
right? And why? Well, because of the offensive line. Let's go to that sound clip, Brian, because I think it talks about it.
Once again, I formation. This way, Acosta's going to keep it himself, and he's going to push his way into the end zone for a touchdown.
The offensive line of the Kearney Bulldogs was responsible for that touchdown. Those guys just road graded, and I mean absolutely tore that defense of the Winnetonka Griffins, just tore a big hole in the middle of it, and it was clear sailing for the touchdown.
You saw Ian Acosta lean forward, but he really didn't need to. They made such a huge hole for him. He just walked in, basically fell forward. The extra point kick is up, and it is good. And with 6:35 left to go in the first quarter, your Bulldogs have taken a 7-0 lead over the Winnetonka Griffins. You're listening to the Bulldog Radio Network.
Now, that was a goal line situation for Winnetonka. So, you usually bring your big package in there, all the guys, the big heavies in there. And I mean, they were nowhere to be found when Acosta took the ball and just, kind of, he didn't expect it to just sort of scoot into the end zone.
Right.
But it was just so apparent. It was so clearly obvious that the offensive line of the Kearney Bulldogs was dominating.
They were. And that goes back to the whole drive. I mean, that was a nice drive that we put together, I feel, to start things out, to get us, that kind of got us clicking and got us going, and get that confidence booster and that kind of momentum to keep to continue to go and to get us kind of started. So, they did a great job. That whole, that first series there and that first drive, and then capping it off with, hey, it's on the goal line. We need to punch her in.
And they did.
Yeah.
Can we talk about capping it off for just a second? I want to give a little shout out to Breedlove.
Yes, sir.
Those extra points were perfect, and they were spot on, and every one of them was so consistent. And I told Mike, and we talked a little before the show, if we get into a situation, and I hope we don't, but if we get into a situation where there's 2 seconds left,
right,
and we have to kick a field goal, I don't feel too bad about that. Well, as long as it's within reason. If it's like 70 yards, that might be problematic. But
we were joking. We were joking that we found Breedlove on an NFL waiver wire.
Because he came out of nowhere.
He did. He's done a great job, and he just kind of started being able to, feel a little more comfortable, and being able to be in a situation like that, and obviously stepped up and did a great job.
Yeah.
So
it's fun to watch him, especially look, when you're winning, it's a lot of fun. But to just put the icing on the cake with a perfect kick, and we talked earlier about it today. And I said, man, those things you talk about splitting the uprights. I mean, it looked like that ball was shot out of a deer rifle because it was perfect.
It was. He's got a kind of leg on him.
Yeah. And full disclosure, I was kind of hoping we'd get into a situation where it was like fourth and we had to kick a field goal because I just wanted to see what would happen. We never did because you guys kept scoring, and I was like, okay, don't score here. I just want to see if we can do it.
Yes. Well,
I think he can kick it pretty decent.
I want to see it. I want to see it.
Yeah,
but I don't want to put a whole lot of pressure on it. It'd be like the whole, Super Bowl rests on this one kick.
Let's put it this way: you have seen him. You've seen him kick a long one at practice. I know you have. I'm not going to ask you how far.
Maybe. Maybe.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he does a good job.
Yep,
and all of our kickers, we're pretty blessed. We have quite a few kickers that have done a great job for us this year. And he, it's kind of funny. You kind of have some specialty guys within that specialty position that can do a couple different things and do a good job. So
I think it was Tom Earl.
Yep, Tom Earl.
Yeah, that got into the act the other night.
Luis Garcia.
Yeah,
there's another one.
Right.
There's another one.
So what? Not to dwell on this, but for the older folks in the audience, like ourselves, we were talking about when we were in high school. You didn't kicking wasn't even heard of in high school, and really not even in college. I mean, it had to be a crisis situation before you try to kick, and then when you did, it was more comical than anything else. But now,
you had to go get
kicking's actually become an important part of the game. When did that change?
Well,
did you guys get a manual revision or something?
When you got rid of the square toe shoe that you had to run off the sideline to go put on your foot to go kick it.
Yeah.
And
soccer.
And
I'm
it's taken off, and that's part of it probably. But it's such a crucial down. Obviously, whether you're kicking the extra point or you're kicking a field goal, every point is so huge. Not that it wasn't back then,
but it wasn't considered as huge back then,
right?
I guess it was, but you didn't think of it.
You didn't think of it that way. I was like, if I get it, we get it. If not, whatever. I know we very rarely, we had a kicker back then, and, you have to kind of look out. The lineman would have to kind of look out. They never knew where that ball was going to go. So there's a lot of 2-point conversions.
I understand.
But our kickers are pretty dang good.
I should say so. And again, keeping with the offensive lineman theme today, I just want to mention these guys, Coach. We've got Evan Pace. He's your center, right?
Yep.
Number 55. By the way, I think he was your trenches player of the week. Is that right? Yeah. And Evan Miles, number 74. I got Hayden Page. He's number 78. Jesus Rusher, 68. And then I don't have numbers on these two, but Kiefer Huff and Caden Dunlap are both they come in in and out.
They do a great job, and I know we talked about the coaches last week. Coach Backus, our O-line coach, does a great job with those guys, and has got a lot of energy, and those guys definitely feed off of that, and really enjoy practice and enjoy their craft, if you will.
Yeah, and it's fun to watch from where we were too, because you just listen. A lot of times you see a guy that's running 247 yards, Garrett Laughlin. I mean, talk about a breakout night,
right?
And it's easy to just focus on that guy, and credit to him again for giving credit to the offensive line. We saw the holes. We could see an off tackle play. We could see an off, a more inside play off the guard,
right? And
it just the holes were so wide open,
and they over the last couple of weeks, kind of thing, and a lot of Garrett's yards, some of that was after contact, or he'd lower his shoulder and get through, and
no doubt,
and our O-line play clicked up a little bit and cleaned up a little bit, and we performed how we were kind of we talked about how we kind of have to do our job, and they really did a nice job, and they understand the expectation, and we're definitely growing where we need to grow, and we'll continue to do so throughout.
Yeah, you just wish, and we're getting ready to go to break here, but you just wish that there was some way you could call these players numbers, every down, and just say, listen, this play would not have happened if not for 74 Evan Miles or 55 the center, getting the calls, getting the defensive calls, and things of that nature that you just, we don't have time to call them, but man, we sure appreciated what they did the other night, and it showed. You're listening to the Coach Gray Show. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We've got a few messages and from our sponsors from the Bulldog Radio Network. Stay with us.
You love the programming? Say a special thank you to the underwriters like these who support KPGZ.
The Kearney Chamber of Commerce wants to thank you for supporting our local businesses. Kearney's friendly and authentic small-town atmosphere is created by our people and our distinctive shops, restaurants, and services. Local businesses contribute to our quality of life and to the character of Kearney. Shop local, eat local, enjoy local. It takes you to start the trend. Support the local businesses who support the area where you live, work, and play. This message sponsored by the Kearney Chamber of Commerce.
Mail-in rebates are a pain. Fill out the paperwork, and hopefully you'll get your money in 6 weeks. Kent Porter here for Porter's Building Centers with a solution to mail-in rebates. Ace Rewards from Ace Hardware. When you become a member of Ace Rewards, you'll get all the rebates instantly at the register. Plus, you'll earn points with every purchase, good for even more money-saving coupons. If you sign up today, we'll give you 1,000 free points just for joining. One more way Porter's and Ace save you money. Porter's Building Centers in Kearney. Porter's, we're here to help.
Singleton & Son is a company that's ready to help you maintain and improve your residential or commercial property. We're family owned and operated, which means we do all of our own work and we build our reputation with every job we do. Your satisfaction matters to us. Dirt and gravel, snow and ice, lawn care and landscaping. Singleton & Son is dedicated to providing Kearney and the surrounding area with quality services. For more information or an estimate, you can visit our website at singletonandson.com or call Jerry Singleton at 816-365-8220.
I'm Sean Barber, owner of Stables Local Kitchen and Patio in Kearney. Stables is a Kearney thing. We are all about our Kearney community. We love to be the place where people get together. Stables features a full menu with a scratch kitchen, offering lunch and dinner options, as well as a weekend breakfast starting at 8 a.m. on Saturday and Sundays. We are big believers in keeping it local. Stables has been a proud member of the Kearney community for almost 20 years, and we are very appreciative of the ongoing support from this wonderful community. You can check us out online at stables816.com, and Stables is part of the True 816 family. Eat, drink, local.
And welcome back to the Coach Gray Show. That was Jim Dickerson on air drums there.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. Fascinating.
I do what I can.
Ability to play no drums whatsoever, but it sure sounded good. Yeah, that was awesome. I want to talk about a young man, number 4, Carson Frakes, had a 51-yard reception. Unless somebody got that number wrong, that's a long touchdown pass. That was Acosta's longest completion of the night. And talk about Carson Frakes. We called his number a lot.
Yeah, Carson had a great game. He stepped up. This is his second. He played last year, obviously, and was in some games. And this year, I think at times it was kind of a breakout game, if you will, for him. I mean, he stepped up to a task this last week, and really shined, and obviously showing what he's capable of doing. And for him, that was a good breakout game for him, and definitely looking for some that continued success for what he does, because he works hard in practice. As a receiver, sometimes you get your number called, and sometimes either you're covered or uncovered, or
right.
Kind of depends on whether you get your number called. And he was able to get open, and Ian was able to find him, and just had a great game, and very proud of where he's at right now and in the direction he's headed, for sure.
I think that's the difference between this year and last year, from what I can remember. He's finding ways to get himself open,
right?
And where last year, the coverage might have been a little bit better. I don't know, or you just don't know why, but it seemed like he was more of a secondary player last year, where this year, when I see, number 4 line up,
right,
and Jim mentions it,
he's a threat.
It's exactly
he's definitely
right.
a threat,
and I look for him to get the ball.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think he had, if I'm not mistaken, he may have had another nice run after catch, where he did a little tiptoe along the sideline to gain himself some extra yardage on that particular play.
He kind of brought a little swagger to his game last week, and that confidence in himself. And we obviously knew that he's very capable to be on the field.
Right.
He's a good athlete, and he was able to kind of build off a couple of those catches and do a great job.
Yeah, you like to see somebody that lines up that you have a lot of confidence in, and in fact has some confidence in himself. I mean,
right.
You mentioned swagger. That's a big part of it.
That's huge.
Yeah, it really is. Another really good player that we're starting to see, and I see this guy as sort of in that development phase, but I mean, he had a rushing touchdown. It was Logan Ariano, and he's another sophomore. I mean, let's talk about his progress.
Yeah, Logan's really kind of come along. He's a good athlete, obviously. He's a good track runner. And I think for him was getting up to the tempo and the speed of varsity. And
I see.
There's a difference between whether you're playing freshman ball or JV ball or varsity ball is a little different, and just as you go through the different levels. But he's done a great job, and definitely shown that he's capable of executing and doing things on a Friday night. And I think with him, that's another thing, is he's a competitor and loves to compete, and is obviously that shows on the field on Friday, but also during the week. In practice, he's not afraid. I mean, he's hopping in and doing effectively running routes and effectively running the plays, and that particular play he scored on, was able to kind of showcase some of his speed, and which is nice.
It absolutely is. I mean, well, we talked about it before. You have it. There's track guys,
right.
And there's track guys who can convert
that can
speed
play football, and he's one of those kids, and he's going to be a successful football player as well.
Yeah. Well, we like calling his number. It's one of those things where, I don't know, Jim, when we're kind of scrambling around, you start to get to know some of the guys and memorize numbers. Even though at my age it's tough to memorize pretty much anything, but I think I forgot my phone number. But when we see somebody new, who brings out a play like that and actually, runs it across the goal line, scored a touchdown,
right?
Man, it's exciting because it says, what, we're going to have this guy for 2 more years,
and it's fun to see. Not to interrupt you there.
Sure, no.
But
it's your show,
it's
Coach.
fun to it's fun to watch, those younger guys, some of those sophomores step up, and you see and you watch, it's funny, we always tell them that we see everything that they do. I mean, we film everything at practice, and I'll watch the scout team guys just as much as I'm watching the varsity guys run what they're doing, and what do we need to get fixed, what needs to get cleaned up, so they can see the good things they're doing, or some things they need to improve on. Mm-hmm. But it's the same thing as you evaluate the scout team that's doing that. You're evaluating, are they stepping in the right direction as a scout team guy, whether they're running our stuff or an opponent's stuff. They're still playing the game. They're still using they still got to tackle, they still got to block, they still got to run routes, they're still doing run the ball, they still got to execute the play you know, and a lot of the times it's some of the same plays, just maybe different formation or different whatever. And, you know, to be able to evaluate some of the talent that we have coming in that's younger right now is fun to watch, because you can see him progress from week one, or even Jamboree week, or even through the summer, from that point to where we are now, just in that, you know, 4 or 5 week time frame that they're getting better, and you can see it, and that's obviously great.
Yeah, it is kind of funny, because the amount of time between, like, say, the Jamboree and now, or the summer for that matter, really hasn't been that long. But the progression, you think it's been a lot longer.
Right.
It seems like it's been like 6 months, 8 months or something, but it really hadn't been that long at all.
Yeah, we're still in September, you know, and it's hard to believe.
It's hard to believe.
It absolutely is. Hey, I did want to mention your team players of the week. Then I want to talk about our Stables player of the week for this week. But you know, here's Tucker Stute. We've got him down here as your special forces, and I'll just go through the 4 of them. John Walters. I don't know how many times we called his number the other night on defense, and then of course offensively, it kind of goes without saying. I mean, Garrett Laughlin, number 32, tore it up. And then Evan Pace, we get to talk about him again in the trenches. I mean, all 4 of these guys, Coach. I mean, you know, start wherever you want. I mean, we've talked a little bit about Garrett and John Walters, but I mean, we watch these guys, and Tucker Stute is another one that I've just kind of seen sort of come of age, I guess, this year, where he just, you know, you can tell he
does a great job on special teams, and you're gonna,
he gets it.
He does, and he's got a drive to him, and you know, he's learned. So I mean, not to go back again to what I just said, but from where they started to where they're at in such a, you know, I guess a short time of the season thus far, of where they've progressed from, you know, running our schemes, whether that's on special teams, offense or defense, you know, just where he's come specifically is and understanding the game, the flow of the game, and what we're asking to do, and be able to continue to do that has done a great job. And you know, it's the same thing with John. You know, John's all over the place, and Walters and has done a great job for us defensively and on special teams. And you know, he's an athlete that you know, just is continuing to learn and to understand, and just like they all are. But and then be able to go back from prior knowledge from week one. You know, maybe it's a formation that you saw week 1 or week 2, or you know, you can't cover everything. You've got to be able to retain it, and he does a good job of getting the guys lined up in the back half of the defense, and you know, obviously is around the ball and a ball hawk, and has done a great job of understanding, you know, run fits and some of those things, which is huge from a safety, to be able to identify run pass and things like that. And you know, double nickel, our center, you know, he is I can't say enough that he's such a, to put it all in a word, I mean, he is such a hard worker. I mean, that kid, it doesn't matter what day it is in the weight room, he comes out just sopping, you know, from working so hard, and it doesn't matter what day it is. He works really hard, and, you know, kind of anchors the O-line there, and makes the checks and the calls of what front we're seeing defensively, and communicates that to the rest of the O-line, and just does a great job there, and is as strong as an oxen. I mean, he is a powerful kid, and smart, and, you know, takes pride in what he does, and is always ready for practice, and ready to go play. Just, you know, loves the game of football. Just like, you know, and that's, I think, with high school, you know, just because there's, you know, very few that go on to the next level, or, you know, depending upon what they want to do. Maybe they don't want to go on to play college football, and they want to pursue something else, which is great. But they all, sorry about that, put my hand on the table. They all love the game of football, and they all, you know, love playing high school football together. And that's what makes, you know, those high school football teams that are good, makes them great, because all the kids love to play it, and they love to be around each other, and they love to, you know, work together and go compete together, and they love what we're doing. And, you know, it's just when you get guys like that are, you know, willing to sacrifice the things that they sacrifice, and the things that they go through as far as workouts and things, that's, you know, that's what you want. And he's one of those kids, and, you know, it's just it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, I mean, and just going back, of course, to Garrett Laughlin, he was your Iron Man, the champion, the guy that worked basically.
Our Iron Dog.
Right, Iron Dog. Yeah, I love that. I mean, that's just fantastic work that, I mean, everybody works hard, but, and you say he broke the record, right?
Yeah.
The points record for
he
Iron
did.
Dog. Yeah, that's amazing. And it shows, obviously. I want to go back to John Walters just real quickly because you talked about him being an athlete. He, along with your other secondary unit, I mean, all those guys.
Yeah.
What I see week after week is that they're just, you use this term, they're flying around, but it's not random. I mean, these guys they're ball hawks. They're getting to the ball, and I think, and even with this unit may be a little bit younger this year. I don't know for sure, but it just seems to me that these guys, well, you had a good coverage unit last year. These guys can cover a receiver, and they stay with them. But for a couple of, I'm not going to get on the refs here, but there was maybe one or two flags thrown last week that I thought, you know what? I know it's a judgment call, but I looked at it.
We'll talk about that later.
Right? And I honestly, I felt like that was perfect coverage. And I don't remember who the player was, but I even mentioned it to Jim.
I do. Number one of them was Buster Lawrence.
Yeah.
He seems to be everywhere.
He does.
And he is great at following the ball and getting it knocked down. And he's been within inches of a nice interception or two. John Walters probably didn't sleep well after the last game.
That's right.
Because didn't he have the ball that went through his hands?
Yeah.
And we were just kind of like, oh.
He wants it back.
So, but those guys were everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
That's what I'm talking about. If you're in the position to make the interception, then you're doing it right. And you just got to catch the ball.
Oh, but there isn't anybody in the history of football who doesn't have that dream of, even when we had Bo Brinkley in here, he talks about his dream, and he's a long snapper. Yeah. I mean, the chances of him intercepting something,
his days
it would have to be
long
weird. We could have, but he said even now he has these dreams of all this stuff happening. So you wait for that moment, and then when that moment meets you, and
John will have more moments.
Oh, I don't.
John will definitely have a lot more moments.
I have no doubt about that.
Yeah, they do a good job back there, and talking about Buster, he's playing with a lot of confidence, and that's great. And it's the same thing with John and with Tucker Studi, and Dawson Miner on the other side. Has done a great job, and I think those guys are a testament to buying into. Defense is pretty simple. I mean, get lined up, your alignment, your assignment, and then get to the ball. Wherever the ball is, get there as fast as you can. And, that's pretty simple.
Well, it sounds
right?
simple, but we've seen what happens when it doesn't go as planned.
Yeah, sometimes
Matt, I point you to the Chiefs last year.
Well, yeah, we don't want to talk about that. What I do want to talk about, though, is our Stables Player of the Week, which was your nose tackle coach, Colt Post. Because here's a guy, the young man that we call number 57 all the time. Why? Because he's in the backfield. He is messing with the quarterback nearly every down. And when I hear number 57 is at least in on the tackle, in the backfield, and making the quarterback hurry up and get rid of the ball early and throw it out of bounds or whatever, just so he doesn't get pounded to the ground. I can look at Colt Post, and that's probably where it all started. We did have an opportunity to visit with him after the game, and again, as always, what does he do? He gave complete credit to his teammates and the coaching staff. Now, there's no big surprise there, but what team does that to a man, to a player, every single one of them? So we loved that. The other thing I wanted to talk about with regard to Colt, our Stables Player of the Week, there were a number of mishandled snaps by the Winnetonka quarterback. And, one has to wonder. And, in fact, it was one of the reasons that we pointed to Colt for our weekly award here, because, I mean to tell you, he was in that interior line all night long, and it making life miserable for the center. And that ball would just sort of pop out, and it didn't look like it had any juice on it.
Yeah.
And the poor quarterback was scrambling around trying to make sure that he could get the ball, at least get possession back.
lining up, across from Colt Post, head to head there. I think for any centers, got to be in the back of the head. Maybe not initially, not knowing him, but he is. He definitely, I would say, had an impact on a lot of those. He's got a motor on him. He loves playing the game of football. He's got a smile on it. He's got a smile on his face there's not a time that I see him in a day. And what a great kid, nice as can be. He's so polite. I mean, just like any of the guys, I guess. But to boast on Colt, he just a great kid and another kid that works his tail off in the weight room. I mean, if you see him, he's not a very tall kid, not a very tall guy.
Well, he even joked about
it. He said he's 5'7".
Yeah.
Which is funny because his number is 5'7". Just interesting. And can you put up his picture again, Brian? The picture, I don't know if you can see this, but you talk about the smile he has.
Yeah.
Oh, this is, yeah.
Look at that.
Okay.
That's him all the time right there.
That is like a poster right there.
Now, and let me tell you, that is a screen capture from the video that we shot in the interview. And I looked at that and it's like, man, that's your senior picture, dude.
Yeah.
That looks great.
He loves coming to compete. And he's a heck of a wrestler as well. And just loves that. I mean, he's a physical kid, and you don't want to be in a phone booth with him because he'll.
You're using terms that a lot of these kids don't even know what that means.
Yeah, I guess.
Do they know what a phone booth is?
Probably not. You're probably right.
Well, we're not going to be making any calls from a phone booth in the near term, I'm sure. But we do need to take a break. Let's let Brian get his commercials in line for us and stay with us. You're listening to the Coach Gray Show. Stay with us.
Say thank you to these local underwriters who support KPGZ.
Since opening our doors, TDR Auto Plaza has made major changes with a full-service department open to the public, and we have brought in more late model and low-mileage trucks and cars for our customers. We know there's a lot of places you can buy a vehicle, but we're your hometown dealership, and we're there for you when you need us most. We've been helping our neighbors drive dependable vehicles and save money year after year. TDR Auto Plaza, 801 North Country Avenue in Kearney. The phone number is 816-903-3300. TDR, your hometown dealer, changing the way used cars are sold.
So we really want Porter's Kearney Body Shop to be your true neighborhood body shop.
Yeah, but most people have heard that before. What's different about Porter's?
Your vehicle is a big investment. We know that. When something needs fixing, you want to know it's going to be done right and that you're getting the right deal too.
So how do I know Porter's is more than just words?
You'll get neighborhood service because we are your neighbors. Whatever the make or model, our job is to keep you on the road, not in the shop.
Porter's Kearney Body Shop, 104 West Main Street in Kearney, 816-628-5621. Porter's, where customers have been driving away happy since 1982.
State Farm, Kathy here.
Hey, it's Mike. My team just pulled off the biggest upset ever.
Nice, Mike.
And some fans are getting crazy. They even flipped over a car.
Whoa.
Turns out it's my car, though.
Oh.
But I don't want to be upset right now. I want to know State Farm's going to take care of this, right?
We got you covered, Mike.
Yes! Woo!
Go with the one that's here to help life go right. State Farm.
Tracy Tucker, State Farm at 751 Watson Drive, Suite D in Kearney, Missouri. 816-903-5550.
Football players know linemen are vital to the team. We know that too. Platte Clay Electric Cooperative's mission is to empower communities and energize life with safe and reliable energy. And a vital part of our team working to make this happen includes our dedicated linemen. From building new lines and services to restoring your power, even in the worst storm conditions, our trained linemen are vital to the success of your cooperative. Platte Clay Electric Cooperative. For more information about our services, you can visit us online at www.pcec.coop.
And welcome back to the Coach Gray Show. Before we go any further, we need to give some changes for tomorrow night's game. First of all, it is homecoming, so we're looking forward to that as we play the Grandview Bulldogs. I do have a problem with Bulldogs playing Bulldogs.
Do you have your homecoming dress?
I
ready?
do have my dress all picked out,
good.
and Mike will be putting on my corsage, so I'm looking forward to that. Hope he picked out a nice one. I told you the one I wanted. The thing we need to make sure everybody knows is that because of what weather might or might not happen, or some thunderstorm or something like that, but the game has been moved up to 5:30 p.m. The gates open out at the stadium at 4:30, and the pregame show for the radio for us will start at 5:10. So game time is 5:30, pregame is 5:10, gates open at 4:30, tailgating starts tonight, I guess. I don't know how it's going to work. I know the parade hasn't been changed as far as I know. We just talked with Pete Chaston, our station meteorologist, who, by the way, for those of you who asked, is really a meteorologist. We don't just make that up. He truly is.
We make up a lot of stuff.
We make up a lot of stuff, but not that. But the last indication we saw is that the rain might hold off till like after 10 o'clock, which would be a beautiful thing. So we wouldn't have to worry about that. So one last time, we'll talk about it before we leave. Game at 5:30, pregame at 5:10, gates open 4:30. Do you have any questions for me?
No, sir.
Okay, good. Mike, you may continue.
Well, thank you, Jim. I think that's important information. If it looked like somebody was trying to call in, Brian, I don't know. I saw the flashing light. We're just ignoring phone calls now? Oh, good. All right.
He has other responsibilities.
This guy
right
is
now.
busy. Listen, when I say he's the busiest man in Kearney, I mean it. He really is. I see him work right here. I do want to talk about the defense. I haven't forgotten him, Coach. Well, we actually did a little bit because we talked about Colt and Colt Post, and we had what was funny? We had a post game with Post. Yeah, that was pretty funny. To some people, maybe. Yeah, Brian's telling me, move along. But again, when you see this team play defense and, trenches or secondary, it doesn't matter. Your linebackers are fast, and they're hitting hard. Couple of guys that come to mind every week. Corbin Bevan, listen, we give out an award every week. It's called the Stables Player of the Week. Thank you, Brian. He helped me. He had to sort of mouth the words. Here's the way it is, Mike. But listen, seriously, Corbin Bevan is a guy that, I mean, every single week, he's the middle of your linebacking crew. What a stud.
Excuse me, yeah. He's, not only a good football player,
yeah,
but he's a great kid,
That's what you like.
And, he's one of our captains. And, I think last year when he started playing for us was our Mike linebacker last year, and how far he's come from that. He wants to be such a student of the game, or I shouldn't say wants to be, he is such a student of the game, and does such a great job of wanting to learn and wanting to get better, and how can he improve, and how can he get himself in a better position, and makes the checks on defense, makes a lot of the different adjustments that we need to do on the field, and just does a great job and flies around as a great leader out there for us as our Mike linebacker.
He's one of those guys that when you look at him out on the field, he looks like a football player.
He looks the part, man.
Yep.
And he plays the part. That's the good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things I was going to bring up, because we do get a lot of questions about how we pick the player of the week, the Stables Player of the Week.
Yeah.
And that, so just so everybody knows, because I know I heard some people asking about it, the players that the coaches pick and the player of the week that we pick are totally separate, totally independent. And we actually picked the Stables Player of the Week at the game that night. And it is not an easy choice. And in fact, we had all these names at one point, just full disclosure, we were like, let's just do the whole O-line.
We actually
talked about that.
Yeah.
And then we talked about Breedlove, and then we talked about Colt, and then we talked about Laughlin, and then we talked about Acosta, and then we talked about the guy at seat 34-6 down here in the blue section. But the whole team did such a great job. It is not an easy choice, and we we went on and on and on about it. So the whole team really, it was not easy. That concludes my report.
Well, I
that.
can imagine you guys do your Bulldogs players of the week,
right.
And obviously you've got special forces, defensive, offensive, and trenches. So at least you can pick 4. But tell us about how your decision process goes.
And they all do, like you said, all do such a great job. And the offensive coaches get together and they kind of talk about who's kind of separated themselves maybe a little bit this week, and as we kind of go through some point totals and some different things in that. And it doesn't necessarily always come down to that. I think for us it's who stood out the most, maybe not the most points as far as how we kind of grade out everybody, but it is, and it's when it's difficult to choose or difficult to select who that is. That's typically a good thing,
right?
That means that we're going in the right direction, and that's what you want to have. It's not just one guy every week, or it's not always, it's everybody growing together and headed in the right direction through the season. So
let me just, as an example, I'm going to go down to a number of tackles, and I'm going to talk about total tackles. So these may be assists, and it may be solo tackles, and again, John Walters, top of the list here, 9 tackles. Buster Lawrence, 5 tackles. Dawson Minert had 7 tackles, but he also was talk about a guy that can cover. I mean, that guy was all over the place.
He's really stepped up a lot this year for sure, and definitely strengthened up our secondary.
Yep. KJ Smith, another sophomore, 5 tackles. Let me go down the list here. Corbin Bevan, we just talked about him, 8 tackles. Tucker Stute, 8 tackles. Colt Post, 5 tackles. I mean, 66 tackles, Coach. I mean, we're getting there. You can't say enough about this defense.
Yeah, they've really stepped up. You go back to back weeks where you're giving up a lot of points, and typically that doesn't happen. When I say typically, obviously that's not our expectation. But when you make some mistakes, or you're not where you need to be, and obviously that happens. The one thing I think that clicked with them is, to play with some passion, to kind of have some energy out there, and to, not be afraid of making mistakes. That kind of shows in it, and we're getting where we need to be. We're not there yet, obviously, but we're definitely stepping up and taking a step in the right direction.
Yeah, and you talked about when we talked about the Stables Player of the Week. One of the things we talked about was that. We actually talked about the entire defense at one point, because you lose track a lot of times that the defense is really doing their job because the score's so low.
Yes, yeah,
and that's I think now the key for us, moving forward from last week and going on, to this week and continued, is to make sure that we're consistent with that, consistent in how we played, and you just not able to do that one game. It's got to be repeated action over and over of the little things that you did to be consistent, to put us in a position where we want to be defensively.
We've got about 7 minutes left here. I want to get our Kearney Chamber of Commerce play of the game in here, because this was an amazing play, and it was a fun play to watch. And you want to go ahead and set that sound, Brian?
Drops back to pass. He's under pressure. He tries to move forward, breaks free. The ball's batted up into the air and caught by Moore. Moore is going to break free. He runs forward, and he gets down to the 5-yard line. He fumbles, and Kearney recovers.
Absolutely amazing. And Moore is limping off the field over there, number 24. That ball was batted up by a Kearney defender. It went up probably 20 feet in the air. Moore was right underneath it, turned around, knocked off a couple of defenders. The Kearney Bulldogs recovered it, and here we stand.
The recovery is credited to Buster Lawrence.
Good for Buster. Right place at the right time.
To be able to watch that, and I'm listening to Jim Dickerson make the call as this play is unfolding in front of me, and that number 24, Moore, I believe was his name, was quite a player and a tough guy to bring down.
Oh, yeah.
Really good athlete. But the ball just randomly popped up. One of the Kearney Bulldog defenders got a hand on it and batted it up in the air. Now I may have exaggerated the 20 feet, but it was every bit of 15.
Yeah.
And then when Moore turned around, he was able to sidestep a couple of defenders. And the next thing I knew, Jim saying, "Kearney's got the ball." Kearney, because I thought he's going to the end zone with it, and it was not Tucker Stute, Buster Lawrence.
Buster recovered it. Yeah.
When you're around the ball, right? When you're around the ball, good things will happen, And then on defense, if you're at the ball, you're good. That's a good thing. And the more you have around the ball, the better it is, And when opportunities arise like that, stepping up and creating a turnover and then capitalizing on it is huge. Yeah, definitely a big momentum play.
So let's talk. We've only got a few minutes left. Let's talk a little bit about what's coming up tomorrow. Grandview is, and don't forget that game starts at 5:30.
Yes, sir.
But it'd be a shame to show up at 7:00. Oof. What's happening? But Grandview, depending on which stat you want to read, is either 0-3 or 1-4. And but talk to us a little bit about Grandview. What do we got coming up?
Grandview has got some phenomenal athletes, and they've got some great skill kids. The quarterback is a dual threat guy, can throw the ball pretty well, get it downfield, and then also can run it with his legs and does a great job. So we're going to have to be definitely disciplined and making sure we're keeping him in the pocket and keeping him hemmed up inside and making sure that we're assignment sound in what we're doing. And
is he the same guy that they had last year?
They got a quarterback that was the original quarterback, I believe, got hurt.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And I could be wrong, but I believe he got injured a little bit maybe. And then so this is another quarterback that came in and has done a good job for him and put some points up last week on Pleasant Hill. And we just got to be disciplined in what we're doing and continue to focus on us. Continue to make sure that we're consistent in how we're playing and consistently where we need to be and bringing that energy defensively. They've got some D linemen, a couple interior D linemen that are very quick and pretty decent sized, and so our O line's gonna have a task at hand for them this week to continue to open up those holes for Garrett or whoever's back there, and then obviously the pass pro. So it's they're kind of right now a little their first two games I believe they lost, but they've come back and won last week pretty big, and so they're definitely a big play team, but yet can still grind you down with some of their big alignment that they got with the running game.
Well, you've got some obstacles coming up as well in that. So it's homecoming.
Yep.
So you got the parade at 2:30, I think it is, 2:00, 2:30?
I think it starts at 2.
2.
Starts at 2, yeah.
You've got the change of the game time.
Uh-huh.
You've got all these outside forces. What are you doing to corral all that?
Hey, man, easy peasy. Easy peasy. Hey, it just bump it up a couple hours. We're ready for practice. It's about like practice time almost, I mean, our guys do a good job, our coaches and the kids for that matter, of understanding when it's, when the time says, it's 2:45, we eat at 2:45 when we have our meetings. I mean, that cycle doesn't change. Everything just kind of gets shifted a little bit, but what we do is what we do, and we'll be fine.
Yeah, and you got to prepare for that, because I know later in the season when they start to flex the schedules to get you on the primetime game, we got that coming up. So
yeah, but and our kids are able to get through those little obstacles like that of game time change. I mean, it's no different from if we're when it was hot and I say when it was last week or whatever.
Yesterday
when it was really hot yesterday or whatever, but being able to adapt from, the length of practice or, from where we're practicing. Are we on the game field today? Are we on the practice field? Oh, we had to go to a gym one day because of the heat. Some of those things our kids are able to, they've been there and had some adjustments to their schedule of, what typically would a practice day or a game day would be like. So, our kids do a good job of understanding to be a little bit flexible, and it's for the best thing for them and for the game. And, I think we'll be fine. It's just preparation. Just flip your switch a little earlier.
All right. So tomorrow night it's homecoming, and what time's the game start, Jim?
That'd be 5:30.
Be sure you get there early.
Or our pregame starts at 5:10. The gates open at 4:30. Tailgating the parade starts at 2. Breakfast is at 8 o'clock. Nap time is at 3 in the morning, I guess. I don't know. I'm gonna head out to the stadium now, and then I'll just be ready to go.
Be ready to roll.
I'll be good to go.
And nap time is just in a few minutes for me. I just want to be clear about that. You've been listening to the Coach Gray Show. Every Thursday at noon, we do that. We bring the coach in studio, and we listen to everything that he's got that's in his brain. He won't tell us everything, but we hear a lot from him. So join us again next week, Thursday at noon, for the Coach Gray Show. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you later. Go Bulldogs.